Hello, Jara. Peace and blessings. Do for joining the Raha Hera meditation. Today is September 30th, and today will be our last in the series. And today also we will have an abbreviated introduction. So hopefully, if you have attended the previous ones and the one last week, which we shared, it goes through the philosophy behind the technique. So today we'll have an abbreviated philosophy behind the technique and just have a little bit more time, extended time for the meditation. So do for joining. Peace and blessings. We'll start off with our devotional song, sung and composed by Seba, to set our intention and our feeling and affirmation and our reflection on Ra. If you you can start with the deep breathing. So maybe let's do that. Let's activate the breath first. So focus on the breath. Exhale, pulling the abdomen gently into the spine. Breathing out through the nostrils. Inhale, allowing the abdomen to expand out, filling it up like a balloon. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. And let's practice exhaling and inhale into the count of 5. So like 5 seconds. But without, you can count for this part if you'd like, just to get a feel of what it feels for the 5 seconds. And then also when you're finished that, moving into, after the body's warmed up, moving into the deep 3-part breath where you're breathing, inhale in abdomen, continue to inhale deeply, fill in the area of the chest, continue to inhale deeply, fill in the area of the shoulders, just one smooth inhalation breath. And then same thing, one smooth exhalation, releasing the shoulders, the chest, and then finally pulling the abdomen into the spine to really push out all, or not all, but a lot more residual air. You could put one hand in the chest and the abdomen just for the mind-body connection. And just take a few moments to breathe in and out to the count of 5 seconds to acclimate the body to what it feels like. Not holding the breath. Just warming up the breath and activating the breath. As our Kemetic wisdom teaching tells us, be as the sun and stars that emanate the life-giving essence. Give life without asking for anything in return. That is an aspect of Ma'at Ari. Being an array of the divine in time and space, an emissary, an extension of the divine in time and space. Acting with Ma'at. And even though from the perspective of the laws of giving and receiving, you will receive things in return, but you're not asking for anything in return. Your focus is on the service and being connected to the divine as you give. And so we are engaging the breath with this same selfless sense of being like Ra, the sun, that gives us light, that allows us to exist here on planet Earth, but doesn't ask us for anything in return in order to give that light. And in this process, meditation, we will be also given freely our devotion to Ra. And although there will be a reciprocation from Ra, in the form of Sa'ank, the divine grace. Our focus is on the devotion, the gratitude, the feeling cared for, the caring for that we extend to others. The joy, compassion, feeling compassion from the divine, as well as the extension of compassion from us to others. Okay, now the breath is activated. I'll go ahead and do the call and response with myself and Ra, and then we'll do the devotional process of listening to Seba. This one is call and response. It is both recorded. The call and response are recorded, so I'll be doing the call and you can do the response in your sacred area along with the following the video. Neteru. Adorations to Ra when he rises in the eastern horizon of heaven. Homage to Ra, coming forth as Khepera, Khepera, creator of the gods and the goddesses. Rising thee, shining thee, lighting up thy mother goddess Nut the sky. Rising as Lord, King of the gods and the goddesses. That's how. So sit back and engage. You can look at the screen, eyes open. You can close your eyes. You can sing along. Just allow the devotional feeling to overcome oneself. Feeling is the key here. We're engaged in this process of an aspect of the wisdom meditation process, an aspect of the Sema Rect, the wisdom study discipline, whereby we are listening to the teachings about Ra, and then we are reflecting on them, and we are engaged in an aspect of our own mind-body system to engage this process. It's called Sa, S-A-A-H, and it means understanding with feeling. So it's a special type of reflection. It's not a head reflection. It's not just using our head, intellect, brain aspect to reflect, our mind-brain aspect to reflect. We're using also our heart aspect to feel and to reflect. The heart is, we know, the ab. So that's why it's called Ab, the innermost essence. The heart is where the feelings reside. And those feelings can be feelings of egoism related to our feelings as the mind, body, ego, personality, the impure set aspect, where we feel ourselves to be mind, body, and we identify our egoistic thoughts with this mind, body aspect of ourself, and we call that me. So that's one aspect of the ab that's impure, and feelings come up from there too, and those feelings compel us. As a matter of fact, the day-to-day life, most of the us are being driven, compelled by the RU that comes up from the unconscious mind, which is the AB. The AB is the repository of egoistic, well, the repository of impressions, and those impressions tend to be dull, agitated, and pure egoism. The dull and agitated egoism, that's the impressions, the feelings, the strong feelings we've had, the strong emotions we've had with our egoistic understanding of this body minus me, that's what impresses there. And that's what causes the problem. That's what needs to be purified. That's what needs to be, and even the lucid, the peaceful impressions we have when we relate that to our mind body unit as me, then even those peaceful lucid impressions are not as pure as they can be. They're better, but not as pure. So here we are working to re-identify, shift, or remember our identity as divinity, or true identity as divinity. And that true identity here we're remembering as Ra, the Ra that has the essence of the Neberdjer, that expresses and manifests as Ra, and that creates all time and space. So we are identifying with the oneness of everything in creation as coming forth from Ra through the primeval ocean noon, and which modern physics sometimes refer to as the quantum field. And then also we are going beyond that to recognize in the scripture that Neberdjer says he is the one that's manifest. Well, that she, Neberdjer is manifesting as Ra, coming forth as Ra. So the essence of Ra is really Neberdjer, the one, not even oneness, not oneness of things, that just everything is just, there's only one. And that is Neberdjer, what we call Neberdjer. So in this meditation, as we saw Ra, we receive what's called Sa-Ankh. This is a different spelling, the Sa for understanding with feeling, and the Sa for Sa-Ankh. They're different spellings. They sound the same, but they're different meanings. There's a little bit of a pun in there, I guess, though, in that they sound the same. And the Sa-Ankh is divine grace, that understanding that is transmitted to us through the Neteru and from Ra, that allows us the capacity to understand our deeper essence as Neberdjer, to go beyond just the time and space creation aspect of Ra, the images of Ra, the representations of Ra, and understand the deeper aspect of our true essence, and in that way defeating what's called a PEP, the degrading forces of nature, of time and space. That's a part of the process. So as we engage in this process of Duo Ra, Hamid Ra, we are aligning with the Neteru here Ra, which also, according to the scripture in the temple of Asar and Abydos, reside in that Ab, in the innermost heart, not just in the Ab, but in the innermost aspect of the Ab. And so we are shifting our mindset to more lucid mind, which will purify some of the egoistic RU, because if we're identifying with our true aspect and deep understanding and feeling to that truer aspect of ourself, we're cleansing the egoistic RU, because both cannot exist. We cannot exist both as Neberdjer and as egoistic beings. We have to understand our expression, even in time and space, as that one Neberdjer, and there's no contradiction. So as we understand our true essence, identify with our true essence, identify with the oneness of creation, not as separate, different objects and individuality and all of that, that egoistic way of looking at creation, but as the underlying oneness, the essence of oneness of creation, then that purifies our reaction and relationship to Ra and creation, and that clears things up. We don't have to have the likes and dislikes for objects in creation from an essential nature. We may have preferences based on the body mind, but not from essential essence. And that allows us to have a certain clarity of mind. The mind is not seeking to run after things in time and space, thinking to get in some objects that's going to be so special that's going to fulfill it and give it happiness or make it better or make it comfortable. It loses that delusion, and it's able to reside in the joy and peacefulness of Duara, 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 Keftubenep, of a joyful aspect of creation, allowing the one the Neberdjer aspect, the awareness of Neberdjer, the awareness that everything is one, to be present at all times. And that is the essence of a cleansed mind that can express and attune itself also to Neberdjer, as well as the time and space reality that we call Ra, that expression, that illusory expression, that is nonetheless Duara, beautiful, divine, and our own essence. So we're using the Sa to receive the Sa'ang. So important in this process is the feeling. We're focusing on feelings. And if there's difficulty in attuning to a feeling of devotion, of care, and of compassion, of joy related to the Neteru, any Neteru, find these in your relationships, because since the essence of your true royal personality self, your true ideal spiritual self, the Heru aspect, is already Neberdjer. Since that's already established, it's already given, it's just remembering it. One is not trying to become something, one is just trying to awaken what one already is. So all these feelings that one has in time and space, then one experiences the joy, the pleasure, the happiness, the little bits of it, the good feeling, the compassion and caring for someone, caring about someone, loving someone, um, uh, feeling gratitude for whatever little aspects of life that one feels gratitude. Bring all of those feelings into it. And when you bring those feelings into your heart, allow them to, as if, overwhelm your heart, and direct it to the divine, direct it to here, we're directing it to Ra as the essence of all creation, all good feeling, all persons, all everything you love in creation, everything you feel gratitude, the essence of Ra. So we're going to direct those feelings to that which is the repository of those feelings. And that allows us to reflect, that allows it to reflect back on our true or aspects of ourselves as this Sa'ang, this divine grace. In other words, we as we reflect that into a Ra cosmic principle self, that reflects back onto us in greater measure as you are the divine. Okay. So in a nutshell, that's our philosophy for today. So for this, go ahead and start the heart-based breathing, right? If you remember that process, you're going to continue the deep breathing, and you're going to breathe, focus on your heart center, your heart area, as representative of the innermost essence. And you're going to visualize Ra in your heart. And you're going to breathe as if you're breathing through your heart. So as if your heart has lungs in it, you're going to breathe there. And it's a technique that has many positive benefits we've talked about previously. And it's tied into the innermost essence in the temple of Asar and Abydos, where we're told that these divinities are the innermost essence. And this is a heart-based system meditation of heartfelt feelings, of gratitude, of devotion, of love, myrrh, as we call it, of joy, of caring, being cared for. And we're tapping into the oneness of creation, and that it's going to extend from us to all creation. We're just as if allowing this to flow through us. So Ahmad, Ari, we're allowing ourselves to be an expression of Ra, the repository of the Sa'ang, and the divine grace and the gratitude and the caring and the joy and the compassion and the Sa'ang, the divine grace. We're just allowing ourselves to be a repository. It passes through us, it fills us, we experience it, and we allow it to flow to all creation. So even as we experience that one of Neberdjer that we all are, that encompasses the oneness. Okay, here we go. So engage your heart based breathing as you listen to the song, and just allow yourself to embrace it, the devotion and feeling. Allow the feelings to be really strong, because it's strong feelings that impress into the app. And so we are also put an input in lucid, are you, related to the divine feeling as well, to displace the impure, are you, as well as connecting with the innermost aspect of the app as our divine essence that is one and expresses as oneness. It's a
Khepera Neteru Kake Uben Ke Esetuke encapsulated ETM Khepera Khepera Kema Neteru Ka Ke Ube Ke Pesebuke Katien Suten Neteru Tua Ra Ke Tu Bene Khepera Neteru Kake Ubeke Pesebuke Kati Suten Neteru Irine Mutnu Yaise Epiriniti Manu Nete Hetu Mahadetra Duara Ketu Bene
That's up. The Hera, the innermost entity and essence in the heart of the royal person, the temple initiate. This is the temple of the Sar, where we find this meditation process really expressed in relation to all the different Neteru. A reminder that as we engage this process, the Herab, we're using the sun as the symbol of Ra. And this process, you are to understand that you are the royal personality, this temple initiate, and visualize yourself as that royal personality in devotion to the divine as we see expressed in the images in the form of Ra. So when we are focusing on Ra, to remember who is Ra, it is you as the royal personality, the temple initiate, the aspirant. These are just images of devotional offerings. As you see them, visualize that you are the royal personality making these important offerings to Ra, and receiving the Sa'ang, the divine grace from Ra. As you are the innermost essence in the heart of the of the divine, and the divine is the innermost essence in your heart, so to speak. So your own divinity is the innermost essence in your unconscious mind, your ab, your duat aspect of the personality. And so this is an integrative process of the deeper aspects of your personality, of your beingness, the Neteru aspects with the royal personality aspect. And it's showing the proper way that they should be engaged with devotion, feeling, understanding Sa to receive the Sa'ang. Do the heart-based breathing as you look at the images and you visualize yourself in the kneeling position, making the various offerings. It doesn't matter if you are aware of what the offerings are, but the important point is making these offerings to Ra. The feeling of gratitude, of devotion, of divine love, of being cared for, feeling compassion, the compassion of the divine. The temples is replete with these offerings. Devotion is a extremely fundamental, foundational aspect of being able to receive that Sa'ang, that protective energy, consciousness, awareness that comes from the divine, that allows us to know our own divinity as that divine. The sincerity, the focus, the devotion, the time, and the attention of going through these various ritual offerings of devotion to the divine, honoring the divine as the essential aspect of being. Displacing egoistic identity, false identity, affirming and reconnecting to divine identity. Breathing through the heart as we go through these processes. Feeling and understanding. We'll have a brief reading of the creation myth of Ra, the book of knowing the forms of the Creator and defeating the principle of chaos, degradation, decay, as a purifying process in our meditation today. Because as we know the forms of Ra, the essence of everything in creation, including ourselves, including the concept of Ra, as we know the essence of everything in creation, we're no longer lulled and fooled and can get identified and caught up with them as objects in and of themselves that are separate and different and have something to offer us in terms of our essential nature of joy, of peace, of they can only reflect those things because they're the essence of spirit as well. But the source of what they reflect in terms of joy and peace to any degree is not coming from them. It's coming as a reflection in their essence that we are vibrating with, because that is our own essence. So as we understand the forms of creation, that they're expression of Ra, everything comes from Ra, as Ra affirms in this creation papyrus, then they can no longer defeat us. We defeat them. We're no longer caught by them in the desires of love and hate and likes and dislikes from a superficial nature. Rather, we know the essence and the underlying oneness. And therefore, they no longer agitate the mind. If the mind is not agitated, it is able to stay in lucidity, and that mind has a greater capacity to have the awareness of Neberdjer. Shat entira Keperu nura, seker aphep, jedu Neberdjer jed f, emchet keperef nuk apu Khepera. This book contains the wisdom about understanding forms, images, representations of Ra, the creator of creation, and for defeating Apep, the force that counters Ra in relation to his creative work and is also associated with the negative, set, egoistic energy. The following words were spoken by Neberdjer, the all-encompassing transcendental divine self, true self, that gave rise to Ra. After creating himself, herself, he, she, Neberdjer, now in the form of the creator, said, I am the creator. Now we'll continue in English for a little bit. And as the creator, I created myself, the creator, and the things, creations that were created through my creative work. Additionally, the things that were created by my creations, followed by my creating those creations, all of those things, multiplicity of created things. Those forms, images, representations all came forth through sound vibration of my mouth when I spoke them into existence. So reflect on this as you engage in the breathing. Ra is saying here that even man-made objects, the sidewalks, the roads, the weapons of war, the weapons of good, or the non-weapons of good, the objects of good that humans create, that everything in nature, everything has one essence, and it comes through this Ra Khepera form that is an expression and emanation, a mystic, illusory expression, emanation of the true self, Neberdjer. So here we have the understanding of the oneness of creation, that Ra is established, and that everything, every single thing, is the essence of consciousness. There's nothing other than consciousness. And that consciousness is based in the transcendental, all-encompassing essence that we call Neberdjer. So we'll go into we will ask you the devotion and the song, Duo Ra, adorations to Ra again. Back to an image. Connecting again to that feeling in the heart. You as the initiate, what are you experiencing in that moment? Anointing the serpent and the sun disk of Ra. And then moving over to the next image of Ra and unveiling Ra, taking off the clothing, the outer clothing of Ra, which means going beyond just the superficial aspect of creation to understand the oneness of essence, and then even beyond that, to understand and experience Neberdjer. These are images of us, every aspect of our being. We're complex, truly, superficial and deeper, unmanifest aspects. So continuing the Kerab, You've been breathing through the heart, so we've already engaged that aspect. Continue to do that. If at any point you lose focus, the mind becomes wandering, just take your hand, either hand, and put it over the heart center and keep it there. It helps to keep the energy focused there more, the concentration and the connection. And it can be with eyes closed or eyes open. You're breathing through the nostrils, unless you have a medical issue and you need to, that's not possible for you, then breathe as you need to. You can open the eyes, look at the images, or close your eyes, focus on the breath, the heart, and the image in the heart, and the feelings. Allow the breath to be about 5 seconds in, 5 seconds out, but don't count. Just allow it to be a rhythmic breath. Rhythmic breathing is most important. Now we've already activated the heart center by taking our attention to that place, with or without the hand. And we'll continue to imagine, visualize as if we're breathing through the heart. Activate the heart-based breathing. And then now also we'll connect even deeper with the feelings of adoration, devotion, gratitude, caring, being cared for. Divine love, Mer, Tara, Tuara. Feel it is extended to all creation, including your personality, through the mystic oneness of creation. And then also allow yourself to bask in that essence, that the oneness, as if resolving to the one. So it's as if you have many waves in the ocean and you're recognizing the underlying oneness of the waves as the ocean. And now going even deeper. If you were to submerge yourself below the surface of the waves and look up, you actually only see ocean. You don't even recognize that there are waves. Even though there are waves there, you only see ocean, and that's the one. There's only the ocean. So we're losing even that subtle nuance that there's something different than ocean. And the ocean represents Neberdjer, in this case, the one. And there's no contradiction between seeing waves in the ocean and just saying, I only see the ocean. Or understanding that in time and space, we parse things, the mind will parse things and say, oh, I see the ocean and there are waves on the ocean. We understand that waves are essentially the ocean, then that's the correct understanding with Sa. Understanding and feeling. There's no contradiction. There's only Neberdjer, there's only ocean. And now when we talk about the waves in the ocean, we're talking about Ra, the creation, everything that Neberdjer brought into being out of itself as these forms and images that we call Ra, Noon, the creation and the objects in creation. There's no difference. It's only one. We just parse it at times when we are talking it through the mind. So we can, because if everything is Neberdjer, we would not be able to communicate in time and space in terms of just everything being one. But the parsing should not take away from the essence of one. So we call the parsing the oneness. Recognize its basis in the one. We call it Ra, to recognize its basis in Neberdjer. And that's the repository of all good feeling, of all love, of all joy, of all caring, of all compassion. The ocean of compassion, an ocean of joy, ocean of caring, ocean of love, ocean of devotion. So allowing these feelings of overflow in the ab, in the heart. as you do the heart-based breath and hold Ra deeply in your heart. And it could be simply just chanting Duara, 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 Khepera. Adorations to Ra, adorations to Ra, adorations to Ra in the form of the Creator. So continue on your own for an extended time. Again, if the mind keeps wandering, just bring the hand to the heart and breathe through the heart center there with the reflections and feeling, not just in the head, but in the heart, the feelings. Keep going back to the feelings of gratitude, of joy, care, and compassion. To your own divine essence. the Temple of the Soul book, chapter 22, Initiatic stop 17. This panel here, the station of removing Ra's clothing to reveal Ra Neberdjer as one's own essence, the One. The scripture says, part of it says, Resured Neter Neter Neferuke. 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 And Seba's translation of that: the forgetfulness I had before about who and what I am that caused egoism in my personality, that allowed me to be with you and yet also be separate. Now that is gone since I expunged that. Now I've woken up to the truth of my divine existence, of my divine ocean-like existence. And not only that, my wakefulness is ever increasing as I more and more awaken to my divine entity. So I come to you not with inattentiveness that causes ignorance of self, but with attentiveness that allows us to truly come together as divinity with divinity. And this coming together of divinity with divinity, of the two that recognize the self in the other as one, this is the source of your beauty, Ra. As you, Ra, are the glory, and I am also as you are, Ra, since I am a projection of you, and as such, I am also you, Ra Neberdjer. We remain undisturbed and just centered in our heart. Whatever the sight, hearing, feeling, tasting, touching, sensations, anything that we experience, it's nothing more than Ra Neberdjer at its essence. This process can be used in our day-to-day life also, with our eyes open in situations as a mindfulness breath. So it's not one that's pushing us to escape time and space to experience our divine essence. We are actually assisting and insisting through our time, attention, devotion to divine, that there is nothing other than the divine. All sounds, all sights, everything in creation, the essence is the divine. So as we act in practical ways, applying Machian principles, which is from Ra, what Ra has given us through the sages, to navigate time and space, Ma'at is nothing but another expression of Ra in time and space to give us a clear guidance and pathway to act so that we could stay attuned to Ra and Neberdjer in time and space. So we're never, ever encountering anything that is not our own expression. One does not have this deep understanding, awareness, feeling, experience, then one is going to be caught by what the scripture terms apep, which is an aspect of Setian behavior, impure Setian behavior, egoism. So all the other expressions and creations of Ra in time and space that are caught up in their Apepian Setian behavior, that's because they're unable to connect to the underlying reality and the oneness of the underlying reality. Studies have been done, meditators, when they experience a sense of oneness with all creation. And it aligns the whole electromagnetic frequency aspect of the personality to all creation, to the universal transcendental self, and to our true divine frequency. So it changes everything in our mind and our body, vibrates at a different frequency. The idea of the obelisk of the temples and the tune-in fork aspect, the tune-in us to the divine. So if we attune our hearts and minds to the divine, and of course the heart has its own neural network and its own heart brain, as does our gut or intestines. And if we align our deep feelings and our emotional heart feelings, devotional feelings, with our intellect, mind, brain aspect, then we can be in alignment and live in peace and harmony of the divine, our divine essence. Even as we're surrounded by others who, like us, like we were, ignorant of that divine essence, and still acting out of that ignorance, the essence remains the same. And that's the trickier part. That's the true aspect of devotion. One aspect of devotion to the divine is singing and chanting, Devara. Another aspect that is the trickier, harder aspect that takes a great deal of sa, understanding with feeling, is to continue to go to the essence as we are interacting in time and space with other wave-like manifestations that are ignorant of the essence and are acting with negativity and egoism in such dull ways and hate and anger, to be able to see the essence from our heart-centered basis, even as we're interacting with them in a Machian way, according to the principles of Ma'at, in a common sense, practical way, getting out of their way, if they're very dull, evil, trying to hurt us, they have to go through their process, and we have to live our process in our heart. Seek kanuna, for seek to be with those who understand the nature of us, and therefore we can act freely in their presence out of our divine essence and have it be reciprocated in a higher way. But even if it's not, we have to maintain our divine vision and divine understanding or divine feeling to recognize the truth of our nature, the truth of creation. That's the mysteries of creation, the Shetaut, the hidden aspect. It's right here, right now. Divinity, all is. And to not be distracted and dissuaded and lose that amidst the cacophony of noise, of people barking, of edibles barking, to keep that sense of this is divinity, I am divinity. Deep knowingness, experience. And there's only divinity, there's only consciousness. If you change how you see things, then actually what you see will change. How you see things will change, and it will change the perceptions, the impressions. So that the aspect of devotion, when we talk about universal love, it's really just one love. It's just divine love. It's just us. We are that embodiment of divine love. And it's a foundation of the essence of creation. The sages all tell us that, have told us that from all different traditions. It's the herat, the innermost heart, is divine love, meri. And that's a joyful, merry feeling indeed. Whether the eyes are open, the eyes are closed, it's always the same reality, consciousness. The mind, the senses, just uses consciousness to experience itself as the mind and the senses. All there is consciousness. Awareness is consciousness. Senses are consciousness. Using the metaphor of the ocean as this consciousness, as Neberdjer. If the mind parses Neberdjer into all the different waves, then we see and we know and we understand the waves to be nothing but consciousness that have been parsed through mind and senses into all the different wave-like objects of creation and their essence is still consciousness. There's nothing but consciousness. There's a oneness in all the wave-like objects and creation, which includes us and every aspect of us. And the oneness is based in the one transcendental self that we are. No difference between the ocean and the waves if waves rise up or waves recede. There's no difference. It's all the one. If something emanates from the ocean and we call it waves, still the one. Recedes back in and there's no waves, just the ocean, still the one. So whether we were in deep transcendental meditation, we're experiencing the one, or we come out from that and then we come back into time and space and we're experiencing the waves of all the objects, the mat we're sitting on, our bodies, still only the one. Sometimes after a deep meditation and comes back into time and space and all the cacophony of time and space starts to take over, we can lose get annoyed and we want to go back to the one without all the noise of the time and space objects and the waves, the objects crashing here and flowing here and everything, which we were so peaceful, and then now we are in this chaos, this degradation of a path. But really we're in the one still. Just the mind has gone back to an old misunderstanding, wrongly programmed way of relating to creation. We're still the one. We're still in peace and harmony and joy. Beneath the surface are the essence of the seeming waves of creation. It's only the one. Very deeply into the one as Ra, Neberdjer. Scripture tells us that Ra is based in Neberdjer. There's no difference between Ra and Neberdjer. That is the secret to defeat Innermost. That is the Shetaut, the hiddenness of the mysteries. So we can tap into the joy and the love in such an expansive way that we discover that that's all that we are. From there, compassion, caring is not something we give to others, but it's something that's a very essential fabric of our being that naturally expresses. Caring for others is just an essential fabric of our being that naturally expresses in a universal way as the essence of being of all things. We're not really giving someone compassion. We're just awakening within them the compassion within their heart so they can feel it. We're like giving them a memory. And when they feel that compassion from us, they're actually feeling their own divine essence. So we should be Mat Ari in that compassion, not that we are being compassionate to them, but we are the essence of compassion and just allowing them to experience that which they already are. To the universal caring nature of creation. The Sa-Ankh of the divine. Really impressed of feeling into your heart. Have it be heartfelt. Feelings of mer, love, of devotion. Strong thoughts and strong feelings of gratitude, of love, of caring. Flooding and overwhelming the heart, the unconscious mind, from the divine source. Breathing it in and out through the heart. Slowly opening the eyes. And as you look around the objects of creation, allowing the Sa and the Sa-Ankh, the feeling, understanding with feeling, and the experiencing to flow. And the sense of the one and the oneness and the unitary aspect of that. No contradiction between our essential nature and our manifestation in time and space. As experienced and perceived through the senses and the mind. Those who can stay on will conclude with the Duwa song as our closing heartfelt adorations to Ra. Neberdjer that manifests in the form of Ra, that expresses it all creation. Our Herab, innermost essence of the heart. With divine love, joy, gratitude, appreciation to the sages, gratitude to the sages for bringing forth these teachings in all traditions. Gratitude to our mind, body, personality for being here. And we're desiring to be attuned and enlightened and remember and purify and experience our receive Sa'ank to discover and be our Neberdjer raw essence. Have that sage-like continence as we go through life. We go through our daily life in the world of time and space. All the cacophony of the waves, and we cut through that noise to understand and connect to the essence, our essence as the oneness, even as we deal with the so-called practical realities of life in the Matian way. And that's what we call Sao Neberdjer, awareness of Neberdjer, having that underlying awareness no matter what we're engaged in. Much in the same way that a mother has a newborn child, and the mother may have to go back to work, but there's an aspect of the mother, no matter what is going on, what activity the mother is engaged in away from the child, there's an aspect of the flow of the heart of that mother to that child, no matter what. Like an underlying memory and underlying awareness, or when you fall in love with someone in time and space, that infatuation early phase where no matter, you may be at work, you may be in school, but there's an aspect of you that feels connected to them and is thinking of them no matter what you're doing. Because sometimes we aspirants may feel like, how can I think of God all the time and be doing my practical reality? Well, we have an aspect of our mind that already does that, shows us this through practical ways of the mother-child relationship, of lovers relationships. So we have that aspect of mind. There's an aspect of mind that we have that we can let it be an autopilot, being connected to the divine essence through devotion, through that divine love. That the divine love is that connective path. When we love something, or time, or attention, or focus, our heart always stays there no matter what we're engaged in. So as we engage our day, our heart stays connected to the source. And we have the capacity to do that. It's built into our metaphysical structure. Those who need to leave, do it for joining. And perhaps we'll come back to these meditations at some point in time, but certainly they're on Kemet TV. They're available on Kemet TV, free. The free part of Kemet TV, kemettv.com, I believe is the link. And so you can partake in them anytime you like. And of course, you can continue to engage the practice of the heart-based breathing at any time, day or night, formal or informal. And we'll conclude with the Duara from Seba. Om Hetep Hetep Hetep. If anyone has questions, you're welcome to type it in chat. If anyone has anything to share, you're welcome to stay after and share after the song. Those who can remain, conclude with the Duara with Seba and believe myself. And peace and blessings to all. Hetep. everyone for joining and for joining for this process. As I said, they'll be posted. They're available for you to use at any time. And continue to practice the technique of breathing through deeply through the heart. As I shared, it has, we know deep breathing, breathing deeply and rhythmically is raw, so shall we be. So the deep breathing connects us to our shu aku nature, which is the aspect of a unitary consciousness coming together through our breath and through the life force to connect us to our raw essence, the essence of which we know is Neberdjer. So the breath has a mystic significance, a metaphysical mystic significance, and then also it has a psychological, physiological significance as far as bringing more oxygen into the body physiologically, giving the body oxygen which it needs to function best, doing deep breaths. And then also it has a common effect on the nervous system, our parasympathetic nervous system becomes activated, because when we are stressed and running and like if life is threatening us, we can't really breathe deeply. We're going to like do short panting breaths, and that alerts the nervous system and the whole body that we're in distress. So when we breathe deeply, it's when we actually sit down from the stress, whatever was, threatening us, and we can sit down, we can take a deep breath in relaxation. So then that alerts the whole mind body system, hey, this is peacefulness going on. Things are okay. Things are cool. The threat has passed by. The danger is gone. So when we breathe deeply, it has this mind body connection automatically that alerts everything that it is okay to relax. We are in relaxation mode. And it is in relaxation mode that we can repair and heal any aspects of the physical body. That's where repair and healing occurs. Repair and healing cannot occur if we are in an aspect of mind that is stressed out, because that aspect of mind, when it's stressed out, it's feeling like it's being pursued by a lion or a tiger that's ready to eat it. And it's not going to like sit down and say, oh, let me heal and repair. When it reaches a place of safety, it'll exhale, breathe deeply, breathe in a relaxed way. And then that will alert. That all goes to give feedback to the mind and body that, hey, things are cool now, it's safe. And then if there were wounds from the injury of the lion that we got, now the body can, we can tend to it and we say, oh, this I did get cut here. Okay, let me heal that, and the body will go into a healing mode. Put in the platelet cells there to stop the bleeding, bring in the inflammatory factors that will bring certain healing aspects, and something to help with pain, and all, just the way we normally self heal. So just in that way, healing internally through our body, through our mind, our mental healing, our physical healing can only occur when there's safety and there's relaxation, and the system knows that it's in a heal and repair mode. So this is why it's important to also take time. This is why meditation, even regular medicine, is integrates meditation and yoga into their conventional treatment of illness, is because this shifts us into a healing and repair way when the mind is at rest, when the body's at rest, and when it's internalized. That's the most powerful way of healing, is getting back to our noon undifferentiated nature, and then beyond that to our raw Neberdjer nature. That's where the most profound healing can take place. And if we're not in that way, then the way we can affect that kind of a process, because if we go all day long stressed out and then we come to sit for meditate, it's not going to be as effective. For one thing, our physiology of our body is in muscle contractions, tightness, tension. Our blood acid-base balance is probably acid from the stress factors. And so all of that is going to be alerting the body that it's stress, there's danger, we can't relax. How am I going to meditate? Because I have to keep alert because there's danger. So if we are able to go through our day in a more relaxing way, releasing this, so not creating the stress, first of all, by keeping our mind in Neberdjer. But okay, that's going to happen. We're going to lose it at times, and we're going to forget, and we're going to get caught up in the practical reality and dealing with a situation, and we might become stressful. Okay, so fine. In that stressful situation, we can engage the breath and breathe. And as we are engaging the breath and doing the deep breathing, it's creating this parasympathetic nervous system to come online, which is the opposite of the stress. So it's now pushing back. It's bringing that de-stressing aspect to push back. So if we take even a few minutes of the day to push back and to breathe deeply and to get our body and mind into this little repair and healing mode in small bites, little steps during the course of the day, keep shifting it back out of stress into de-stressing modalities that allows it to be in a healing and repair, and allows it to have that glimpse and that connection to the deeper essence of mind and of true nature of feeling, of sa'ong. If we're able to have that, then we're going to heal and repair, and it'll stay with us. And then when it fades again, we go back to it. When we forget, we remember. The more we keep remembering, the more we keep bringing it back online. Then with that practice, the periods of forgetfulness get shorter and shorter. So this way, our day is not a day of stress, and then we come in to meditate to relieve it, or to get to know ourselves. Our day will be flowing in the divine. Duara, 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 Khepera. Breathing as Ra, breathing rhythmically and deeply throughout the course of the day. And keeping the mind body in a state of physiological parasympathetic attuned nature, which is the calming, resting, healing aspect of it. And this will, of course, feed, it's all integral. So it feeds into the meditation, it feeds into the devotion, allows for this devotion to Ra, will allow for this deep breathing like Ra, will allow for the Madari, being like Ra, giving without seeking, allowing our mind to go like, what am I getting from it? Like basically agitation of the mind. The law of reciprocation is built into the fabric of society. So of the fabric of creation. So we never have to worry about what we will receive. Practical reality, we want to receive pay, and we deal with that in a practical Mathian way. But we really don't have to worry about it. We just have to worry about, if we want to worry, worry, if the mind wants to worry about just attune into Ra. And so we have an integral movement in the process. And then on top of that, deep breathing now, which is activating the parasympathetic systems, which allows the executive frontal brain, the new brain, the neocortex, the part that allows us to control our impulses, right? It's the frontal lobe, the human aspect, the more advanced human being aspect of the brain that allows us to have that conscious awareness, right? That's in the front part, associated with the third eye, that part of the brain that allows us to have our clear thinking, our intellect being activated, our intuitional capacity being activated. That part is shut down when there's stress and distress, because we go more into our more animalistic reptilian brain that is more attuned to survival and saving our life at all costs. So if we are stressed and distressed and we're living in that way, it's more the animal emotional brain that will be attuned. Emotion in terms of like emotions or survival, emotions of like when vigilance, like what is going on? What are you trying to do to me? What's going on? And it's just having to be vigilant and having to be attuned and having to be like, what's going on? That part of the brain that has to keep us safe and has to be watchful in a way of keeping us safe. It has its purpose and it serves its function, and it's there as a foundation. But it's not to be activated at all times. It's only to be used in specific situations of life-threatening events, perhaps like some of those events that occurred with the recent storm, like those in the areas who went through that. It would be positive aspect of the human anatomy, physiology, makeup, that that aspect of the brain, the stress survival aspect, was turned on, because that is going to be attuned. What is that sound? What am I hearing? Do I need to go hide somewhere? That's life or death. So that was appropriate. But even for them, now that the storm has passed and there's still all of this trauma and anxiety and stress that's there, even for them, they need to shift. We all need to shift when the threat is past, when the danger is past, when the life-threatening aspect. We need to shift back to heal, repair, because the mind is not built to stay in stress for an extended period of time. This is supposed to be, you see it in the shows of the nature shows, right? The gazelle is being pursued by the lion. That doesn't go on all day and all night. If the gazelle is able to escape, the gazelle, if you watch those shows, like automatically, as soon as they escape the danger, the animals that were running, the rabbit that's running that escapes, as soon as the danger is gone, what do? They go right back to eating and grazing and feeding, like nothing just happened. That mode in them shuts down automatically. Human beings have a different capacity because they have this intellectual aspect that is not uh, well isolated from the animal mind. And so, and it has memory and all of these other aspects. So the human being goes back into that situation and the memory of the trauma and the feeling of, and the thoughts and the feelings that occurred through those traumatic episodes, they stay there, they get lodged in the unconscious, and that has to be cleansed. We have to allow ourselves to go into a place of safety and cleanse that and say, okay, yes, that was there, but now it's no longer there. Let's go into a place of safety within ourselves. Let's release ourselves from all of the dangerous type of feeling and arguing, the tension in the muscle. Let's cleanse that out. And we can do that through the breath. We can do that through the Neteru. We can do that through devotion. We can do that through meditation, whatever way it works. Sometimes we have to take steps to get to the deeper aspect of meditation because we have to release the tension from the muscles to allow us to be able to. So a few Neteru postures before deep breathing before, the chanting, the devotional, all of these things are letting the mind know gradually we are in a state of relaxation, of healing. We are safe. It is okay. Do you see what I'm doing? I'm singing, I'm chanting. Do you see what I'm doing? I'm breathing deeply. Yes. Okay. Release the tension in the body, release the tension in the mind. Let us attune to our innermost essence. And now we can go into meditation and experience that innermost essence. So sometimes slowly through the process of the integral shedding practice, we build up to this being able to be in our sound Neberdjer nature, where we know that it's all the divine. We are immortal, transcendental beings. There's nothing really to fear. Our fear mechanism of our fight or flight is a part of our physiology that will become activated in certain situations to save our life. Kudos to it. Don't want to deactivate that aspect at all. Want it to be there. At the same time, don't want to identify with it as the only way that my mind and body can react. I want to identify with my true essence as my deeper being. That brings my, kind of back to the brain, that brings the aspect of my brain online that allows me that conscious awareness aspect integrated into my mind body aspect. That then I can think correctly, I can feel correctly, I can act correctly in a way from my underlying connectedness and oneness with everything and transcending that to one. So when we breathe through the breath, all of that is going on. When we just by breathing deeply, we can activate that whole mechanism of unification. Seba refers to the unification of the breath that leads us to this underlying oneness and transcending that to one. So through the breath, we can do that. And just by the deep rhythmic breathing. And then now if we bring this extra mechanism of breathing through the heart, connecting to our consciously to feelings that are heartfelt, positive feelings that are aspects of our royal personality nature, that are the fabric of the innermost essence of our being as the different Neteru, that they're cosmic principles. The principal aspect of what they represent is the very fabric of our physical and metaphysical makeup, our earthly aspect, our heavenly aspect, all of that, our intuitional capacity. So if we connect to them as our innermost essence in our heart, the head up as the temple of Asar affirms for us each panel that this is the innermost essence of the initiate's heart. So when we breathe through that now, in addition to just deep breathing and getting all those benefits I mentioned from the de-stressing and being in the physiological state of healing and repair, when we do that, now we are connecting again at a feeling level, an emotional, positive feeling, positive emotion level. And so we're bringing an alignment not only with our heart, brain, neural circuits to bring them into alignment, what the system calls heart-brain coherence, which now alerts the brain to function at an even higher level, because now it's receiving neural input from the heart saying, yeah, we are really, really good here. We are just like, this is like as good. This is so good. We are at peace. We are experiencing gratitude and joy and devotion and love. And this is so good. Brain, you can do your thing. And so the brain now, all the brain centers, integrationally with all aspects, really go online in a full way. So now that we're not only breathing in a deep way, we have the parasympathetic system online. Now we are bringing other aspects of not de-stressing aspects, but now healing and repair and reconnecting and integration and higher mind, higher intellect, intuitional awareness capacity online. And the persons that did this heart mat breathing technique, they did studies, and they did studies of like an electric field, because of course we are electromagnetic beings, right? Our cells are the very essence of our each cell. The potassium sodium channels that you learn in chemistry, and the sodium is positive and the chloride is negative and the potassium is positive and has 2 electrons, and all of that. These are functioning within our physical bodies, and this is part of the homeostasis that we are. And so there's an electrical, we're like have little electrical charges and batteries within our mitochondria and our cells and all of this aspect. So when we align ourselves to in this way to the essence of who we are, and we align, like every aspect of our being, every cell in our body gets aligned and gets reconnected to that, and we become charged as we're supposed to be as human beings. And they measured, like there's an electrical field that flows from the heart center in this way that extends like 6 feet, I think 3 feet on either side. So this is actually something that can be palpable, affected. This is how we affect each other physically in each other's presence, and the physical aspect of Kanumnefer is important. And then also psychically, we know that there's a connection through the oneness, right? Uh, I forgot how the quantum physics calls that, the entanglement theory now, that if you affect one molecule, one electron, one molecule on this side of the universe, the creation, that at a quantum level, if you push something here at a quantum level, something moves here. So we affect each other. And so that's why also we are affected by the psychic aspect of those who are not in alignment. So if we come in alignment, then, and we strengthen our alignment to the Neteru and to our true essence, then what we put out vibratory, this is why being in the presence of sages also is so calming and peaceful, then what we put out will push back on those negative aspects. And I always joke that it really, considering the state of the world, that we are only hanging on here because of the good vibrations of the sages, the power of the good vibrations of that positive feeling, thinking, and beingness in their true essence is so powerful that it puts the vibrations of positivity and love and harmony and peace and joy and compassion out there. That is part of the Sa'ankh of divinity, because in the Serpent Power Scripture, it says that the serpent power goddesses, right, at the third eye, that they actually work through the sages. They bring their teachings down to us through the sages. So through the sages, we maintain the positive outflow and the expression of Ra in time and space, through them manifesting and doing the work of creation in their Mat Aryu. And all of us are supposed to be those expressions, those conduits for the expression of Ra in time and space. So all of this is encompassed in this technique and this process that we've been a part of for these past few weeks. And so hopefully you have experienced some deep feelings, and so that body knows it's been reprogrammed to those feelings, so it knows what it's supposed to be feeling in a higher way, and you will keep building on those feelings as well. And so that your understanding, your intellect is merging with the feeling, what we call Sa, the process of Sa, so that there's integration of metaphysical aspects of being, the Herab aspects of the Neteru body, a mind and body, into this holistic system of spiritual enlightenment. So that's it. Peace and blessings. Any questions, you're welcome to ask. You're welcome to type in a chat, or you should have access to turn on your mics also. And have a blessed Dua Rade.